الرحيم. Before we start chapter number 2, let's please do a quick revision of what we covered last week in chapter number 1. I hope you get a chance to download your book and you download your PowerPoint presentations and you started getting acquainted with the material. So I need somebody to participate and tell me, what did we cover last week? If somebody start talking, then the rest should be listening, please, okay? And please keep your mics mute while you're not talking. Okay, anybody? Tell us, what did we cover last week?
Yeah, sure. Last week we covered about the services and the kind of services. Like, I'm going to talk about what I remember. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
We covered the kind of services, if it's tangible or intangible.
Okay.
Okay. And we covered also the companies and the organization kinds, like the charities and the government companies and all these things.
Good.
Okay. Also, we covered the, as I remember, how we increase the إنتاجية.
Okay. Productivity.
Yes, productivity, exactly.
Okay.
Also, another thing I remember that we covered also the stake and stakeholders and the investors and those things. That's what I remember.
Very good. Thank you very much. And so, good. Any other participation?
You're welcome.
What did we cover last week, if you remember? Okay, I'm just gonna go through it very quickly. I'm sure some of you are new. They did not join last week. In chapter number 1, basically we discussed and we defined what a business is. And basically we said that any individuals or organizations who try to make profits or earn profit through producing products and services that people need, okay? Trying to fulfill the needs and the wants of the people. This is basically what a business is all about. And we said that they do a lot of efforts. And the result of their efforts are in terms of products. And we divided the products into different types. We said the product can be tangible, can be intangible, and can be an idea. We said also that tangible products are the goods. And for example, a computer, a car, all of these are tangible things that we can touch and we can see. While the intangible items are things like services, okay? These things like a doctor checkup, when you go to the cinema, these are all services. Also, some other businesses might sell you ideas. Like we said, like consultations. You can go to a doctor and get a consultation, okay? Or you can go to an accounting firm. Again, they give you solutions for your problems and so on. And this is basically, we call it as ideas. These are the different types of businesses that exist and the different products that they produce. And also we said the main goal for any business is to make profit. Okay, so basically the difference between how much income the business is making and the expenses that incurred in order to make this that income is called the profit of the business. Okay, and we said that it is very important for the business to make sure that these profits are earned in the right way. Okay, in a very responsible manner. This is one of the issues that we discussed. One of you just mentioned that we also talked about the different types of organizations. We looked at profit organizations and also we looked at the non-profit organizations, and we give example of charities and so on as a non-profit organization. One of the very important topics that we also discussed last week was the requirement for a business to make a profit. If the business want to earn profit, then there are a list of serious things and important things that should be included. Number 1, we should have good managerial skills, because you want to have these managerial skills to manage the people, to manage your employees, because you're relying on employees for the success of your business. This is one thing. Also, you should have good marketing expertise, because you want to design and build a product that people actually need and set up pricing for it and promote for it and find out the distribution channels or where exactly you're going to sell these products. Also, you should have, or we said that it is the responsibility of the owners and the managers to find out the financial resources for the business. From where I'm going to finance this business? The capital, from where? It is the responsibility of owners to find out. Maybe the owner has his own or her own money that they can invest in that business, or a business might have to go, or the owner might have to go and lend some money from banks, take a loan from banks and so on, okay? Another requirement that is very important for the business to make money is that they have to behave in an ethical way and to be socially responsible toward the society. And a business exists to help society, right? To provide products and services that the people within that society needs and wants at good quality. So you should not harm that society. Another thing or another requirement to earn a profit is that you should abide and follow the rules and the regulations of the government. These are mainly the main requirements for a business to make profits, okay? And then, as you mentioned also, that we discussed about the stakeholders, and we define who are the stakeholders, okay? It's a stake, not stock, stakeholders. We said that anyone who has interest in the business activities, we call them a stakeholder. That is anyone who wants to know whether the business is successful, whether the business is making money or not making money, and so on. We gave you examples also for those stakeholders. We said that customers, suppliers, managers, government, society in general, the creditors, all of those are different examples of those stakeholders. And we said that it's very important for the business to make sure that they can satisfy the needs of all those different types of stakeholders. Another issue that we discussed last time, we looked at the different functions that the business should really make sure that they have. As we said, we looked at management and what is the role of management: to plan, to organize, to coordinate, to control, okay, and to monitor, okay, and to use the resources. And we said resources can be either financial or human resources. They have to be able to use these resources effectively and efficiently. We looked at marketing as well, and the role of marketing department. They are the ones who determine what are the needs of the people. They design and develop products that people need, and then setting prices for it, determine the place or the distribution channel, and finally promote for it. They have to build awareness, tell people what are the what do they have and what the benefits they can get out of these products if they purchase it. Also, we looked at finance and how important it is for the business to obtain the money that is needed for the business activities, but also to use this money effectively. This is the most important. We said that maybe you have the money, but unfortunately you don't have the needed skills to use that money very effectively in your activities in the business. Then we ask you, why you're studying business. We're studying business for several reasons: to build a career, to work in any kind of activities like marketing, human resources, finance, and so on, and also to become a well-informed customer. We wanted to be a good aware of what's going on, a good and aware customers, so that you nobody cheat on you or anything, okay? One of the main topics that we covered last week also in chapter number 1 was about the economical system, the different types of economical system that exist. We looked at the communism and also the socialism, the capitalism, and we also looked at the mixed type, and we said that nowadays most countries are following this mixed type of the although they favor one over, they favor one style over the other, but they also use the mixed type of economical system. At the end, we also looked at the supplies and demands, which is two main and important topics under economy. The demand comes from the customer, the supplies come from the business itself. We looked at competition and the meaning of what is competition is all about. Basically, it's the rivalry among businesses for the consumer reals or dollars or money. We looked at the different types of competition. We said we have pure competition, monopolistic competition, and we also have monopoly and oligopoly. You need to know the definitions of each type and to be able to give example about each one. At last, we also looked at the economical cycles and productivity. We said that businesses and the economical systems, they go through two types of economical cycles. Businesses or the countries, either they are in economical expansion or they are under economical contraction. And you need to know these two types, and you need to know the characteristics of each type as well. This is basically what we covered last week in chapter number 1. Any question so far?
No, all clear. Thank you.
Clear, good, thank you. Today, inshallah, I will start with chapter number 2, and I will share. Okay, I'm gonna. Afwan?
Sorry, we didn't understand about what you were talking.
What I'm talking?
Yes.
I was talking about what we covered last week in chapter number 1. Did you attend last week with us?
No.
Okay, this is why. You did not attend last week. Anyway, chapter number 1 is also recorded. You can find it in LMS. Dr. Ibtisam, she posted it, so you can get it from there, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to share with you my PowerPoint presentation, and if you can see it, please let me know, okay? I just want one of you, please tell me that you can see it.
Doctor, can I ask you something?
Sure.
I am with you with another class Sunday, but I wasn't there. Can I attend this class?
Yes, no problem. As long as you're my students, there is no problem. Can you see the PowerPoint now?
Yes, we can. I see.
Great. Okay. Going back to what we said about this book, and we said this book is divided into different parts. Business, and part number 1 is business in the changing world. Chapter number 2 basically is going to focus on business ethics and social responsibility. If you recall just a while ago, and what we mentioned last week also, that one of the main requirements for a business to make profit is they have to follow good ethics, and they have to be socially responsible toward the society. So in this chapter, we're going to focus in these main topics, okay? Hopefully by the end of this chapter, these are the learning objectives. And hopefully after we finish it, we get to learn all of these things. To be able to define what business ethics is all about, and to know the difference between the ethics and the social responsibility, and why it is important for businesses to have ethics and to be socially responsible. Detect some of the ethical issues that we might arise and we might see actually and witness in business. Specify how businesses can promote ethical behaviors within the business. These are basically the topics. طيب, let's start. Bismillah, نبدأ this chapter. Anyone knows what I mean when I say the word ethics? What does it mean?
الأخلاقيات.
Okay, that's in Arabic. Okay, can you just find a word that matches in English?
Manners.
Manners, principles, standards, responsibilities, behaviors. All of these things are examples of what ethics is all about. Well, the definition that they're giving you here is that ethics are principles and standards that determine acceptable conduct in a business. Yani what's wrong and what's right, what is considered to be ethical and what's considered to be unethical. Okay, this is basically what we mean here by ethics. Okay, and we will be having a lot of examples later on in this chapter. طيب, who determine whether the business is behaving in an ethical way or an unethical way? Is the business doing something wrong or doing right all the time? Who determine all of these actions?
As I know, who is responsible about that is the HR section in each company, and also the labor office.
Okay, this is in the business itself. I mean,
governments.
Governments. Okay, so government is part of whom? And HR is part of whom?
Governments are part of the external factors that may affect business.
External stakeholders. It's part of the stakeholders, okay? Last time we said that, remember that chart that we had last week? We said that the organization is in the middle, and then they have certain factors and certain functions with that is needed for the business to function and to operate. And then we have some external forces or external factors that we have to really watch out for, and we have to really obey, and we have to respond to any kind of changes that might happen. Basically, what I'm saying that here, an organization itself, as you said, one of you said the HR, for example, or the labor office, or the government, or the customers, or the competitors, or the government regulators, okay, the public themselves, the society, all of those are different groups of people who can say if the business do anything wrong, any of those group of people can really mention that, right? Or if the business is doing good, then again, it will be a positive thing. It's a positive point if always the business is following good standards and is doing good behaviors and is always doing good things to the public. All of these things is determined by most of those group of people, okay? So this is basically what we mean by who really decide whether the business is actually doing something wrong or doing something right. They mentioned here also that the factor of trust, okay? We all know that trust is very important in all types of relationships. يعني حتى at home, at our level of husband and a wife, family members, okay? Trust comes number one. It's the thing that keeps the relationships going on. It holds the relationship between different members and different people, okay? So trust is very important in all relationships. Customers is putting trust on the business to provide them with good quality products and services. Suppliers is trusting the business that they will have built good relationship with them. The government is trusting the business also in fulfilling their social responsibility and behaving in a good and ethical way and not harming the society and so on. So trust is something very, very important thing. And we all know that when financial crisis happen, people lose trust, unfortunately, in any kind of financial institutions like banks, like governments, and so on. So unfortunately, and in the book, they're showing you some sort of a diagram that show you how the global trust in different institutions or different sectors. And basically, banks and financial institutions comes first. People, they do not trust banks because if people is going through crisis, financial crisis, that means the effect is coming from banks. They did not protect them right. And then they say that the media also, because media, unfortunately, sometimes they really doesn't give you the right knowledge, information. They always try to make propaganda and so on, okay? So governments also as well. So it just, that figure 2.1 give you some examples of what I mean here and how trust is very important in all of the organization's aspects. Right. When I asked you just a question just a while ago, who said that what's wrong and what's right? Some of you said human resources, some of you said مثلا it's the labor department and so on. Basically, it's the tone that comes from the top. Managers and owners, they have to be strongly committed to following good ethics and to be socially responsible toward the society. يعني, let's take for example at home. If the father of the family, or the mother is doing everything good and she's being a role model for everybody in the family, then everybody will follow her, right? Or follow him. The same thing.
Yeah, lead by example.
عفوا? Excuse me?
Lead by example.
Okay, lead by example. Okay, but just please next time wait until I finish what I'm saying, then you can say something. Okay, so because I'm recording all of this thing. So managers, they are the one who's responsible for compliance. They have to make sure that everybody is complying and following good ethics and good standards and good morals and good behaviors and so on. So the tone comes from the top. What we mean by the top هنا اللي هو management, higher management and middle management and so on. So higher management or management in general, they must show a strong commitment to the ethics and compliance. Compliance, that means they are following all the rules and the regulations, especially those that are set up by the government, that they are being ethically, they have good ethics, high standards and so on. Okay, so this tone at the top requires top managers to acknowledge their own role in supporting ethics and compliance. So they are the ones responsible for compliance and making sure that everybody is following these standards. Also, Managers are responsible for creating a strong relationship with ethics and compliance department. And usually in some businesses, and especially big companies, they have a department like under HR, there are compliance and department that make sure that all the people who are working under one umbrella are all following the same ethics. Okay, so you as a manager, you should have good relationship with them. You have to build awareness. You have to know exactly what are the rules, what are the regulations to communicate it to your employees. Clearly communicate expectations for ethical behavior to all employees. This is the most important things. Yani, we all know that all businesses actually, they have codes of ethics, they have standards, but unfortunately they are not communicating it to the employees. This is the most important things. When an employee joined the company, they don't know anything about the company. So it is the role of the managers and human resources to build awareness, to communicate all the expectations from that employees. You have to make sure that they read and understand and sign on these codes of ethics. Yani from day number one, show them that this is what is expected from them, and let them read it, understand it, and sign that they actually are aware of it. Educate managers and supervisors about the ethics policies, very important, and at all levels, in higher management, middle management, even supervisor level, they have to know about the different policies of ethics, to know exactly if somebody violates something, what they should do, and how they should really, what kind of actions they should do. If la samhallah something goes wrong, if an ethical crisis happens within a business, all managers and employees, they have to be ready to take actions and to be responsible about what's going on and to know what to do exactly if these things happen. This is basically what we mean by the tone should be at the top, okay? They should be role models for all employees, and they should build good relationship with the compliance department, and they should also communicate these rules and these regulation and these good ethics, okay? Because at the end of the day, I want to build a good culture for the organization that everybody follow, okay? So this is a tone at the top. We keep saying ethics and social responsibility, okay? So let's look at what is the difference between these two. Social responsibility, basically, as I said in the beginning, I said the company is socially responsible toward the society, so they should not harm them. They are responsible, are committed to provide the society with good products and services at high quality, okay? So accordingly, you are obliged as a business to maximize your positivity. Yani you have to do everything you can do, good efforts to make the society happy and satisfied. And at the same time, you have to minimize your negative impact on the society. You should not do anything bad, or you should not harm the society in any mean or in any way. Okay, this is what we mean by social responsibility. We have a lot of examples, and we can I don't know if any of you can give us example now. We just went through a very hard time the last few months, 6 or 7 months. We went through a very hard time during this pandemic, right? And we really noticed and we witnessed that, mashallah, some of the businesses, they were actually very socially responsible. Can anyone think of an example of how businesses were socially responsible, يعني maximizing their positivity and minimizing the negativity? Anyone can think of an example?
Yeah, for that, like our company, I remember when the pandemic starts, we start talking on first we used Zoom application. Okay, so we can keep in touch. Also, each section in the company made a group. Every manager was responsible about that group. Okay, about giving chores and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's not a very good example, but I guess it is. Yeah, we can mention.
Yeah, you're socially responsible, for example, for your employees, for the society. You don't want to spread that COVID-19 between the employees, because if somebody got hurt, then it will spread it between their family's member, right? So yeah, this is a good it's a good example. Okay, you find another way to maximize your positivity on in the people. Okay, by finding a way for communicating with your employees. You didn't stop. You were still functioning, right? And you prevented any people or any employees to become sick or become ill or get infected by this COVID-19. So this is a good thing. Yani very simple examples also, I recall some of the supermarkets, when you go there, they provide you with gloves, right? Masks, sanitizers, and so on. This because they're socially responsible. They don't want people to come in and get hurt or get infected by that that virus or anything. So we have a lot of examples. We can sit and we can think of a lot of examples. And I want you to think maybe next time, inshallah, while we are revising this chapter, we can get more examples, okay? So basically, socially responsible, that means you're going to maximize your impact on the society and also minimize or make it zero even your negative impact on the society, because you exist to help the society, not to harm the society, okay? So basically, you know, they're giving you the differences between what social responsibility and what ethics means. It says that if somebody do any violation, okay, within a business, it is that person or that group of people act who will violate, okay? It's only one person or a group of people. So ethics refers to the decision made by one individual or a small group within the work environment, okay, that society evaluates either right or wrong. This is ethics. As for social responsibility, it's the impact of the whole organization, the entire organization impact on the society. This is what I mean by social responsibility, okay? يعني ethics comes from one person, سواء سوى حاجة good or something bad, ولا group of people within the company that might affect the organization whether positively or negatively. Like in social responsibility, it's the effect or the impact of the whole organization on on the society. Okay, this is the differences between ethics and social responsibility. So, we all know in the growing concern nowadays that we want to build a good relationship with the public. Okay, we want to build good perceptions with in the public minds. Okay, how you can do so? Only if you are being socially responsible and if you are really following good ethics, if you are using good ethics, good manners, and you will build good perception and good image in the people's mind. Okay, so if you're having good ethical standards, okay, all of these things will build trust. As we said earlier, trust is the glue of the relationship. So if you're good and you're doing good things and good standards and good ethics, then you will build good reputation and good image, and accordingly it's going to be good relationship with the public, right? It's very important for the business and for, as we said earlier, and managers and supervisors to learn how to recognize if there is ethical issues is going on. Okay, first of all, you need to know whether something wrong is going on or whether something good is going on. Recognizing it by itself needs experience. Needs somebody who can actually pick on these things and know exactly. So learning to recognize and resolve ethical issues is something very important. Once you recognize it, you will be able to find solutions or resolve it. We need to know also that legal and ethical issues is not only limited to for-profit organizations. Any type of organizations, whether you are for-profit, whether you are a non-profit organization, whether you are a government official or government organization, whether you are a sport club, whatever, any kind of organization that exists should follow good ethics and should be socially responsible. Okay? Why? Because these things will really affect the organization's ability in building up relationship with the people, okay, with the public or with the stakeholders. So this is basically one of the important things that we should always put in mind, that we are really exist to help society. That means I have to behave in an ethical way and follow good and ethical standards so that I can glue myself or build good relationship with my people and with the society and with the stakeholders. So again, they go back and they say that an ethical issues basically is what? Either a situation or a problem, okay, that arise and that requires for you as a person to choose from several options. Maybe you have option A to take this decision or that decision. So you have to decide which action you should take. That may be evaluated. An action maybe you can right, maybe it's wrong. So you will be put in a situation where you have to evaluate whether the decision that you're going to make, is it going to be right or wrong, okay? These are some of the ethical issues that we always face in our life. Yani, you want to do something, but you start thinking, if I do it, is it going to be right? Am I gonna be held responsible for doing something? So you have to be able to recognize and resolve these issues. And as I told you earlier, I said, this requires experience, very important. So recognizing ethical issues is the most important step in understanding business ethics. Number one, you have to be able to know what is it, recognize it, okay? What these ethics are, and what the decision, or what are the options that are available, and which one I should choose from it, whether the right or the wrong one, or the ethical or the unethical ones. Okay, any questions so far?
No, all clear. Thank you.
Okay, let's take some examples of some of the unethical issues that we witness and we see in our world, especially in the working environment. One of the issues that we always see, unfortunately, the concept of bribery. Anyone knows what bribery is all about?
Yes, it's رشوة.
صح, it's رشوة, but this is in Arabic. What do you mean? Give me an example. Maybe you'll make it easier for you if you can give me an example.
Yeah, sure. Bribery is like when I have a government paper, I have to either to take a signature for it or something like that, okay? And the employment says that he's always busy, and he's like always saying and it's excuse to not do it for me until I pay him an amount of money, okay, and he do it for me just because I gave him money.
Exactly. So basically a bribery, when you give somebody money or you give them gifts, okay, or do them some favors sometime, okay, do you favor, you do me favor, okay, and exchanging for these things, okay, to influence the outcome of the decision. As you said, maybe they were not gonna sign that paper for you, but because you gave them that money from under the table, they will do it for you, okay? This is something legally, and this will really might guide you to a lot of legal issues and legal problems. This is not acceptable at all, okay? And they give you example here for شركة Ralph Lauren. We all know Ralph Lauren, right? They reported that one of its subsidiary, one of the companies that is working with Ralph Lauren, they had bribed foreign officials in Argentina. Okay, they give them bribes, either gifts or money or whatever. And because Ralph Lauren, they knew about it ahead of time, alhamdulillah, they know about it, okay? They took a quick action and to address such kind of misconduct. This is misconduct. This is not acceptable action. This is ethically not acceptable, okay? So they took a quick action to solve this issue. If they did not do so, they could have faced a lot of charges, and maybe they had to pay a lot of money, and maybe they had to be legally, maybe they were the government, maybe they will close their company, or they will be. And it is something very critical, by the way. We should not really do these things, because you will be really going to prison, or you will be held responsible, and you go into a lot of illegal issues and so on. So let's stay out of. Let's stay away. We should not do it. Ethically not acceptable to do bribery. Okay? طيب, it seems when you talk about bribery, and people think that this is something okay and can be easily resolved. But in reality, this is something very complex, as I told you. And as I told you, this is very critical, and it might lead to a lot of legal issues and some people might be going to court and they might be going to prison and so on. So we have to be very careful about these issues. But we also have to put in mind that there are different cultures in different countries. In some countries, maybe it's acceptable, but in many countries, it's not acceptable, okay? So experiences with the culture where you're going to operate or where you're going to set your business is very important. Yani for example, if you're going to start a business مثلا in you are a Saudi and you want to go and start your business in Egypt or anywhere else, okay? You have to know exactly the culture of that country and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable there. So experience with the culture in which the business is going to operate is very critical to understanding what is ethical and what is unethical. Yani you have to understand the culture of that country and what's wrong and what's right and what is considered to be ethically acceptable and what is considered to be unethical and so on is very important when you are going to start a business somewhere else in another country, for example. طبعا أكيد if you're gonna start a business here, same thing. You have to educate yourself about the rules, the regulation, the standards, and so on. Okay. One of the principles, they say, why do people tend to do bribery? Anyone knows why do people do bribery? Why do people give gifts and money for their things to go through?
Yeah, because sometimes it's something unlegal, so they do bribery so they can finish it. Or it's something that's going to take a long time to do it and a lot of process, so they do bribery to finish it also as soon as they can.
Good. Or also because the organization themselves and the management sometimes they set up very high objectives for you. Yeah, if you are a salesman مثلا, and they tell you have to sell 100 pieces every day, and that objective is very high. Maybe you don't have that much customer. So what you do is that maybe you go and pay somebody some money just so that they can come and buy your or give them gifts or do something just so that they come and they buy your products. So these aggressive financial or business objectives, unfortunately, they force people to do such kind of actions. This is not good. These are ethical problems that should not happen, okay? So organizations and managers should not set up very high standards and very high objectives that cannot be reached, okay? And because this what leads people, unfortunately, to go after bribery and try to bribe others in order for their stuff to, or change the decision, for example, okay? They might say this person will go to jail. But if you give them money, maybe they say, خلاص. So you're changing you're changing what's supposed to happen, okay, the outcome to your favor because you paid money to those people, okay? This is basically what bribery is all about. Another example, and very important example that we are witnessing and we're seeing every day on a regular basis, unfortunately, in most business environments, is the misuse of companies' time. So what does it mean? What do I mean exactly when I say this person is misusing company's time? What does it mean?
It's to use the time of company by making some special work or just to spend some fun by using the mobile or any other personal things.
Exactly, thank you. Unfortunately, you should be there to do your work, right? You get employed there to do certain tasks, but unfortunately we find a lot of people, they're spending the time, like they spend 1 hour, 2 hours either chatting with others, either on their mobiles, watching movie, social media stuff, they're doing it all at work, okay? This is not acceptable. You are here to do your tasks and to do your work because your productivity will affect the overall productivity of the company. And if the company is doing good, that means the company will be successful. That means the company will make money, will make profits, and the stakeholders will be happy. But if we have 1 or 2 or 3 people who are just like this, misusing company's time, that means it will affect the productivity of the business. That means the business will not be able to produce more, and the customers will be not happy, the stakeholder will not be happy, and accordingly, you might lose your customer, and maybe the business is not going to do money, they're not going to do profits. So they're not really fulfilling the main goal of the business, which is making profits. Okay, so this is, we call it a theft of the time of the company. That means you're stealing the company's time. Okay, this is a misconduct. This is not acceptable in the workplace. And it said that many employees, they spend an average of 1 hour each day. Believe it or not, if every employee is spending 1 hour a day on YouTubing or social media or other things, okay, doing their personal things, or studying, or doing their answering their emails, or other things, okay, this is a waste of time, of the company's time. And believe it or not, this time theft costs are estimated to cost companies hundreds of billions of dollars annually every year. Believe it or not. This is why we're saying we have to take things serious, and you have to do your work and carry out your tasks at work to add value to the business, to add productivity to the business will be successful, and everybody will be happy at the end of the day. So this is one of the main things that happen, unfortunately, at a company. Okay? Any question? Or sometimes yeah, go ahead, please.
Which one, me or the girl?
You go ahead.
Okay. You said that wasting time is costing companies a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, but sometimes the customers are also wasting our time. Like last week, I had a problem with one of the customers that he was not answering his phone, and a lot of not good thing. I'm not gonna say other words. Not good thing that he is doing to me. Like I asked him for some papers, some numbers that I really needed to finish my job. Okay, and he is not doing anything for me. Like he cost me about 10,000 riyal.
Oh my God, I
Yeah,
agree.
that's the problem. Like sometimes the customers are not respecting our work, our what we are doing for them.
Do you think they're not a serious customer? Maybe they're not really serious. Sometimes they want to have some time to go and مثلا look for another company. You know, they want to give some themselves some time to
Yeah,
shop around. To
yeah,
go.
I agree with you. But the problem that they are big company, like they are one of the most known companies in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I know. I
But they are
understand.
always wasting my time every single week.
معلش, business exists to help the customers. Yeah, I know, but the customer again should
from
respect.
customer, but not allow from your side.
Yeah, we should have respect between both parties, the customer and the business. Okay, I agree with you. Yes, these things happen, of course. There are always things that might happen. But I just wanted to add also that some people, they take they tell them a break for 15 minutes or half an hour. They go take long lunch hours and so on. All of these again, or leaving early or coming late to work. All of these are things or action that is considered to be misuse of company's time. Okay. So let's move on and look at the bullying. What is bullying?
Bullying, it's something known right now. Like I'm become aggressive on one of the employees, like because of his work or something, because of maybe his face, maybe he's having something in his body. So I'm bullying to him.
Exactly.
Making fun of
Intimidating
him.
others. You are intimidating others either by مثلا by threatening them, making fun of them, degrading their work. All of these things are different means and different ways. Unfortunately, sometimes people, they use verbal things. They say bad things to the others, okay? Abusing others. Sometimes you don't have to talk. Sometimes body language talks for you, right? So unfortunately, these things happen, and we find some people, مثلا manager, they criticize always their employees, and unfortunately, they don't know how to deal with them, and they over criticize them. And we witness these things. I see it, and sometimes in public places and restaurants and so on. Manager doesn't know how to talk to their employees. They are threatening them and then talking them in front of people in a very bad way. Harassment is another example of such kind of intimidating for others. Okay, so basically these things happen in a very hostile workplace. And if you find people they don't like each other, there are always problem between them. Unfortunately, these things happen. So basically, and these days it's not just in a work environment. We see it in public. We see it in schools, even with little kids. We see this bullying thing. اللي هي التنمر. Those of you who want to know it in Arabic, it's التنمر. We see it all the time. So bullying basically is associated with hostile workplace where a person, either one person or a group of people, okay, is targeted and is threatened, unfortunately, or harassed or belittled and degrading them, telling them that you don't mean anything, or verbally abusing them, saying bad words, or overly criticizing people. All of these things are examples of what we mean by bullying. Abusive or intimidating behavior is the most common ethical problem for employees. But let me ask you please this question, and I hope somebody else, I want to hear from others, please, those of you who are being quiet, I want to hear from you. If somebody practices bullying over you, what happens? What happened to you?
I will give him bribery.
The first person who said I will, go ahead.
I will give him bribery.
You will give him bribery? It doesn't work this way.
It depends on the situation. It depends on
the situation. Okay, but usually what happens? If a group of people or somebody is always harming you at work or threatening you or harassing you,
sometimes it could
you fight back.
Just a minute, I want to hear from this lady, please. Go ahead. This lady, go ahead.
Sometimes it could lead the employee or the person being targeted to just be distracted from their work, feel a little bit more weaker and reserved. Or it can lead you to fight back, which could lead to an even more hostile environment.
Exactly. So it depends on your personality, of course. But usually what happens is that if you get exposed to such kind of bullying system, what happens is you'll always have low morale, right? You'll start hating the work. You don't want to go to work, okay? And you start taking days off, so you'll have absenteeism will increase. And unfortunately, what happens at the end of the day, if this thing continue with the HR or your manager does not really notice such kind of thing happening, what happens is that it will end up the employee is leaving the company. They're resigning and leaving the company. So we will be having a higher turnover. And this is what's happening. So this is one of the abusive behavior that should not really happen in a working environment. We should avoid, and we should not actually practice it at work, okay? Because nowadays it's some legal issues. Yani somebody might have a lawsuit on you, يرفع عليك دعوة or whatever, if you continuously doing such kind of bullying thing. Right. Here they're giving you examples of some of the actions that are associated with bullies. As we just touch upon some of them, but let's look at it in more details or get more examples about these actions. Some people, they might just spread rumors about you. Why? To damage your reputation or to damage your image in other people's minds and so on. So they start saying rumors about you. يعني يفكوا إشاعات وهالأشياء دي. Or they might block your communications, مثلا your email or your phone or whatever. They will block other people communications activities. Or unfortunately, other people, they like the flaunting status. They like to show off, okay? Or they say that, wallahi, I have the authority مثلا to damage you. I have the authority to take advantage of others and so on. A lot of people, they discredit or degrade other people's ideas and opinions. You might have good ideas and you give your opinion or your decision about something, and they will tell you, no, this doesn't work. You don't know anything. Some people, they use email to demean others, okay? Unfortunately, to degrade others, يحط منه أو يذلوا الإنسان. So they use emails, unfortunately, and messages to. But alhamdulillah, there are a lot of nowadays, there are a lot of regulation that will really stop people from doing all of these things. Failing to communicate and return communication. A lot of people, unfortunately, you send an email and you wait a couple of days. Usually you should reply to your email right away. But because they don't like you or they want to practice bullying over you, they don't reply back to your email. Or even they see a missed call in their phone, so you should call them back, but unfortunately they do not return back your call. Some people, they do insulting, yelling on others, shouting on others. كل هذه examples of bullying. Using terminology to discriminate by gender, race, or age, and this is, we see it a lot, unfortunately, especially between young people. They might say for the old people, مثلا, old man, literally, يا عجوز مثلا, you old man, by gender. أنت سيدة مثلا, you are a woman. زي كده يعني, unfortunately, a lot of people use these terminology to discriminate against others. Some people, they don't talk, they just have to use their body language, their eye or body language to hurt others or their reputation, unfortunately. Taking credit of other work or ideas, and I think those of you who works, they're familiar with this thing. Yani some people or some manager, they might ask you to do something and you do actually the whole work and you finish the report and you do finish the whole project and everything, but then they put their name under the work as if they were the ones who did it. So they take credit over others, and this is not acceptable. This is part of the taking credit as well. Any question?
No,
No, everything's clear.
Clear? Okay, good. Another example is the misuse of companies' resources. طيب, I need examples, please. I want to hear from you, ladies and gentlemen. How can I misuse companies' resources?
Yeah, regarding this.
Printouts for personal use.
Okay, print out, good for personal. Okay, what else?
Use the expenses, company's expenses.
Good, thank
for
you.
personal.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, regarding this, like me, my company are giving me a SIM card for work. Okay, I'm not using my personal number. So some of the employees that I'm responsible about them, they are using their numbers like for flirting or chatting with girls and use it in the wrong way.
Exactly. Thank you
So
so
that's
much.
that's one of them.
And actually, this is the example that they gave in the book. This is the example. It said, unfortunately, one senior administrative city government worker in New York was fired for misusing of company's work cell phone. They fired her. It was estimated that she spent an hour a day making personal calls, racking up the charges to $3,000, believe it or not. This is something unacceptable at all at work. We said in the beginning there is trust. We're trusting you to use these resources in an appropriate way. A lot of people, unfortunately, they use مثلا the copier, as you said, the printing. They bring in they print a lot of material for their children, their homeworks, personal stuff. Okay, one of you mentioned about they buy something for their personal use. For example, I will buy a telephone or a mobile or anything, even small things, and then put it under the expense of the company just because I have authority over these things that I can do so. All of these examples of misuse of companies' resources, again, this is a misconduct. This is not acceptable at work. Okay, so misuse of companies' resources basically identified as the leading issue, and we can see it and we can witness it a lot in most organizations, and unfortunately. And as we said, examples, spending excessive time on personal emails instead of focusing on your company's emails and doing your work. You do all the time your personal emails, submitting personal expenses on company's reports. Again, this was mentioned earlier, using the copier for personal use. Many companies have implemented official policies to delineating acceptable use of companies. Yeah, you have to draw red lines. You have to tell employees how much exactly they can use. Okay, so you have to set up a specific how much of copying you can make, how much, whether you can or you cannot. I can tell my employees, no, this can only be used for your work activities. Okay, so this is one of the issues that we have to really look at and we have to consider. And as I said, if you're misusing companies' resources, again, you're misusing companies' time as well, because all your time is going to you doing your personal stuff. while you're supposed to be doing your work at that time. Okay? One of the things that you have to solve this issue, that whether to use the company's resources or not to use it, whether to misuse company's time or not to do it, okay? This is come from what? It comes from because there is a conflict of interest. You have to make, again, lines between and you have to separate between your personal financial interest and the business interest or business dealings. So you need to really know exactly how much limit you have, and you should know that if this is going to be done for my own personal stuff, then I should not do it, because accordingly I'm misusing company's time, and accordingly I'm misusing company's resources. So conflict of interest comes or exists when a person must choose whether to advance his or her own personal interest or the other people, اللي هو other company or other colleagues or whatever. So to avoid being in such situation, you have to draw the lines, okay, between your own interest and the company's interest as well. They gave example here also in the book. Unfortunately, they say that insider trading is the buying or selling of stocks by insiders who possesses material that's still not public. Let's say, for example, you're working in the company and you came to know that the business or that company is going to offer stock to the public very soon, and they're going to sell shares to the public very soon. Because you are in that position and because you gave yourself authority, or maybe you have the authority to do so, you go and you issue stocks for yourself before they actually sell it to the public. Again, this is not good. You have again to draw the lines. You have to make a separation between your own financial interest and the business financial interest, okay? So this is what we mean by conflict of interest here. Any question?
No, thank you. No, it's clear.
Great. Okay. Employees, in order to follow rules and regulations, they have to abide by the law, and they have to follow rules and regulations, okay, to be in the safe side. Because as we said, honesty should exist, fairness should be there, okay? So you as an employee, you have to follow laws and regulations. You also as an employee, you should cause no harm through dishonesty. We are trusting you to be honest, to use these resources and to use the company's time, and not to do bribery, and not to do anything bullying over your other colleagues and so on. So you should not harm the company or other employees through dishonesty. Just because you have authority or you have access to materiality or materials or money or whatever, you should not do so. You should also, as we said earlier, use company's resources fairly and honestly. Be aware of company's policy. You have to be aware of any kind of laws and regulations and ethics and behaviors and standards, okay? Educate yourself. Even if you're not exposed to it, go and ask what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You should also recognize ethical behavior. As we said earlier, it's very important. You have to know what is good and what's bad, what is ethical and what's not ethical, what's wrong and what's right, okay? So recognize what exactly the policies, what are the rules, what are the standards, and so on. This is you as an employee. On the other hand, we also have companies. How do companies make sure that they are being fair and they are practicing fairness and honesty? And companies must use fair competition practices. This is very important. And unfortunately, we see a lot of businesses that they practice unethical issues with their competitors. Either they try to destroy the image and the reputation of their competitor. And we see it sometimes. You see it in the advertisements. You see, مثلا, if you have a detergent, we have detergent Tide versus Omo, for example. Tide is going to make an advertisement. So Tide is telling us that, oh, we do this and we clean this and we remove all the stains and so on, while this other one doesn't do anything. Of course, sometimes they don't put the name, but from the box you can tell that this is Omo or whatever, okay? So This is how some businesses they do practice bad things against their competitors. And other things, طبعا, playing with the pricing, trying to steal your customers, all of these unfair competition practices that we witness and we see. Also, companies should give full disclosure of potential harm by a product. يعني if you are producing something that you feel that it will harm or affect the customers, you have to give disclosure. You have to tell the people about it. يعني you have to release any kind of information that or reveal any kind of information if there is any harm that might happen from using that product. Now I want you to remember to give me an example of a product that we all of us see and they are being socially responsible and they tell the customer that there is a potential harm by using this product. Like what?
Excuse me, can you
Smoking
repeat it?
cigarettes?
I will, yes, somebody said cigarettes, exactly. My question was,
cigarettes.
you have to tell your customer if there is anything might harm the customer in any way, you have to build awareness. You have to tell them that this thing will cause harm to you, will harm you. And she gave a good example of cigarettes.
Yeah, also like power banks.
Okay.
Like they are always putting with the package, they are putting awareness that they'll leave it in a hot place or in the sun, so it doesn't explode.
Good examples. We have a lot of examples that we can think of. طبعا some companies also, because they're socially responsible, and I read about it somewhere here in this book, but maybe not in this chapter, but I read about it. For example, Nestle. We all Nestle, they're producing a lot of chocolates and sweets and so on, okay? Because Nestle, they know that each one of us as individuals, as customers, we have to consume a particular amount of sugar per day, right? So they try to build awareness, telling people exactly, okay, we're producing chocolates and we want you to buy these chocolates and eat these chocolates, but at the same time, you need to know that, you need to be aware, yani, as a customer, that you should not consume more than this much of sugar per day. Okay, this is a good thing. So this you have to give full disclosure of any potential harm to your product.
Doctor,
Doctor,
a company only for customer or also for employees? To give him motivation should be in the same time which promise.
They have to be committed, you mean? Commitment?
Like a company only for consumer, not only for consumer, for fairness, only and honesty, only for employees also to give, if it say to give after 1 month motivation, must to give.
I agree with you. That's right. This is why we said that when we talked last week about the stakeholders, we said anyone who is having interest in the success of the organization, and when the employees were one example of those people, you have to be responsible about your employees, respecting their rights, giving them their salaries on time, making sure that they're happy, they're satisfied, they're motivated. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, this is again one of the important things. Okay. Keep company secrets. The company, again, and all people who is working in a company, they should keep the secrets and the confidentiality of any kind of information. They should not release it or reveal it to the public or publish it to others, okay? So we have to, this is part of the honesty. Meet obligations and responsibility. وهنا, this one really talks about what you just mentioned, sir. When you said about obligations and responsibility toward whom? Part of it is toward customer, part of it is toward society, part of it is toward government, part of it is toward employees themselves. You are responsible toward your employees, okay? So you have to meet any commitments and obligations and responsibilities toward the different types of public or different types of stakeholders that you are responsible or that you're committing yourself to serve them in the right way. Avoid undue pressure forcing others to act unethically. احنا قلنا just a while ago, we said that unfortunately what leads people to behave in an ethical way is that the severe or the companies sometimes they set up. Can we mute everybody? Mute your mics. Hello. Excuse me, can we mute the mic, please? Okay. So you have to really avoid undue pressure. You do not have to force your people to reach certain high objectives that they cannot really reach, okay? Because this will force them to do unethical issues. They will do bribery. They might misuse companies' time, misuse companies' resources, and so on, okay? Or do bullying or whatever. So this is what companies should do to make sure that they are behaving in a very fairness and honesty manner. One of the main things that, especially in universities, and since we are an educational institute, AOU is one of the educational institutes that we really face and we always witness here, is the idea of plagiarism. Anyone knows what plagiarism is all about?
Is when you take someone's work and pretend that it's yours.
Exactly, thank you. So basically, if you take any work of other people and you pretend or present it as if it's your own, this is plagiarism. You cannot take anybody's work, okay, without proper referencing. You should always mention the source. You cannot copy and paste from any reference or any resource or any book or article or other people's work and say that this is your work. This is not acceptable. This is plagiarism, okay? So, and as we said, unfortunately, even in work environment, some managers, they take the people of other people and they say, this is my work and I did this work. And so just because they are managers, so they can take credit for their subordinates' ideas and for their subordinates' work and so on, okay? So this, again, is example of plagiarism. As I told you, as a student, we are also in educational institutes, we're facing such kind of plagiarism issue, but we have a solution for it. When a student submit their TMAs or take-home exams or any kind of work, written work, we download this work and we run it through a software. That software, we call it Turnitin, okay? So basically the Turnitin, it will determine if the student is plagiarizing from any kind of other sources, okay? It will give me a report if a student is copying from here or from there. So please, we advise you all to avoid such kind of thing. طبعا inshallah, those of you who will study B123, if you're on the system track, or if you're going to take B123 as an elective course next semester, you will learn about how you can avoid plagiarism. طبعا basically avoiding plagiarism is through what? Through مثلا using the proper referencing, mentioning from where you got the source. You can use your own words, reword it. Okay, read it, understand it, and put it in your own words. This is one of the ways of avoiding such kind of plagiarism issue. And please, I'm telling you now, to be careful about this idea of plagiarism, because usually if, for example, if we have high percentage of copying, if 50% and above, this is not acceptable, you will get 0 in your exam. So let's be careful about this plagiarism issue. Please, their mic is on. Can you put it on mute, please? Thank you. Okay. So if you are in a position to make decision about something and to decide whether this thing is ethically is good or bad, is it ethical or unethical? Okay, so what do you do? Sometimes it is very difficult, okay? So you need some kind of guidelines that will help you in determining whether this action or this decision or this option is good or bad. There are a list of questions that you can ask yourself that will help you determine if an action is ethical or not ethical. Some of these questions are Are there potential legal restriction or violation that could result from that action? If you take this action, or if you take this option or this decision, will you be held responsible, legally responsible يعني, they will take you to investigation or they will take you to court or whatever. Ask yourself, if the answer is yes, then do it, don't do it. If there is no legal restrictions, then that means it's okay. Another question you can ask yourself also, does your company have a specific code of ethics or policy on this action? Go and dig in. This is why I said in the beginning, you have to educate yourself about the laws and the regulations and the standards and the policies of the business. So if there are specific things and codes of ethics about this option that specify exactly that this is not acceptable, then do not do it. Is this activity customary in your industry? مثلا you are in the food industry or you are in the cloth industry. هل هذا الشيء متعارف عليه? Is it acceptable in your industry? Are there any industry or trade groups that provide guidelines or codes of conduct that address this issue? طب, if it's not customary, is there any kind of guidelines under your industry that might help you to decide whether this action is good or bad or ethical or not ethical? Ask yourself. And then if you answer it, if the answer is yes or no, you can say whether this action is ethical or not ethical. Would this activity be accepted by your co-workers? If the option or that action that you're going to take or that decision is acceptable by your co-workers, then maybe it's fine. But if you feel like they will not accept it, that means there is something wrong about it. You need to know all of these things. You need to know about the organizational culture, about the policies, about the standards. Will your decision or action withstand open discussion with co-workers and managers in survive and strength? Yani, if this thing that you're gonna take, or this action or this decision, gonna make people start talking about it and discussing it, then that means there is something wrong. There is a question mark over this thing, so don't do it. Also, how does this activity fit with your own beliefs and values? This is very important, okay? We are all having our own beliefs and our values. Ask yourself, does this action fit within your standards and your culture and your values and so on? If it's okay, then it's okay. If not, then you can't do it. But you need to know also, sometimes there is a conflict here. Sometimes we as individuals, we have our own values and our beliefs. And you go to the business, you practice something else maybe, right? Sometimes they have other things that you just have to follow and you have to obey yourself to the rules and the regulation of the business. Okay, so if you are in a situation that is very difficult for you to decide whether a particular issue or an option, whether it's ethically acceptable or not, then you have to go through these questions. Ask yourself these questions to find out what you're gonna do is good or bad. Right. What are the 3 factors that influence the business ethics? As I just mentioned a while ago, you and your individual values and standards determine and contribute to the business ethics. And as I said also that many employees use different ethical standards at work rather than what they do at home, because each one of us is coming from different background and different cultures, and we have different standards and beliefs and behaviors and so on. So, but at work situation or in a work environment, we have to abide and follow whatever is they're telling us. Whatever the rules and the system of that organization is, we have to follow it. Also, what influences the business ethics is the managers, and because we said in the beginning, it's the tone at the top. They are the set up the tone, they're the set up the commitment and the compliance management and your co-workers. So activities and examples set up by your managers and your co-workers are very critical in gaining constant ethical compliance with rules and regulations. It is very good in companies, they should have codes and compliance requirement. You have to, the company should provide these codes of ethics. Because if the company fails to provide good examples and they're not setting these standards and these behaviors to the people, okay, telling them what exactly they should do, what happens in the organization? If everybody doesn't know anything, there is no codes of ethics, what happened in the business? What happened between employees?
Conflict
and confusion, right? Nobody knows what is right and what's wrong, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Okay, so conflict and confusion will develop between the employees. So this is a good opportunity for the business. Okay, they have to develop good codes of ethics, and they should make sure that all the people are complying with these rules and with these regulations and these codes of ethics. Okay, so this is one of the very important things in the work. What is codes of ethics? How did they define it? Basically, it's a formalized rules and standards that describe what a company expects from its employees. And this is what I keep saying. We should have a codes of ethics for dressing, مثلا. Codes of ethics for attendance, codes of ethics for behaviors, for the work, for different things, okay? And from day number one, you have to make people aware of it. You have to communicate it with all the employees. You have to make sure that they know it, understand it, and they sign on it. Because later on, we don't want people to come and say, Wallah, I didn't know. Nobody informed me. No, sir. You were informed and we communicated to it and you sign on it and so on. This is what codes of ethics is all about. This is what our expectations from our employees. But it should be formalized, should be in a written way. Okay? So employees must have established ethics policies to determine what conduct is acceptable. لازم تقول لي when do I come, what is expected from me, working hours, rules, regulations, standards, policies, and so on. You have to build awareness between employees. Codes and policies on ethics encourage the creation of ethical culture in the company. This is what I want. أنا بقى تكون ثقافة في المؤسسة. ثقافة المؤسسة, organizational or corporate culture of good ethics should be established between all employees. We should all follow the same codes and the same policies and the same good manners. Enforcement of ethical codes and policies through rewards. If you feel like a group of employees and one employee is really following all the rules and the regulation and they're committing and complying with it, reward them, give them a reward, thank them, appreciate them, recognize them. On the other hand, if you find out there are a set of employees or one employee who's unfortunately not following these rules and these regulations and these codes of ethics, then there should be a punishment system, right? There should be a punishment system to that, because at the end, I want to make sure that we have a corporate culture of good ethics. Unless I make sure that everybody is following these things, we will never have a good corporate culture. Okay, so codes of ethics is very important, but you have to make sure that it is applied to everybody and that everybody understands it, and that you should have a rewarding system for those who are complying and also a punishment system for those who are not following these standards and these codes of ethics. طيب, why it is important to have codes of ethics? It is very important طبعا, because it will alert the employees if they do something wrong, okay? Because it will tell them exactly about important issues and about the consequences of not following these codes of ethics and these standards and these policies and so on. So it will work as an alert. Tell people what exactly they should do, and if they did not do it, what kind of consequences or risks might be involved. Also provide values such as integrity. We want all people to have straightness and honesty, fairness, okay, good morals, and so on. All of these gives the foundation for building ethical culture. This is my goal, is that I want to build a good ethical culture within the employees, within my corporate, within my company. Also, codes of ethics will give guidance to employees when facing gray or ambiguous situation. In our life, whether in a working environment or generally, we always face times كده or areas where it's very ambiguous, في غموض, في gray area. I don't know what to do, okay? So in this gray or ambiguous situation, if you have codes of ethics, it will give you guidance, okay, on what to do and how you're going to face such kind of gray area or ambiguous situation. It will also alert employee to system of reporting. يعني if you find that there is a misconduct happening in the business, something wrong is going on, codes of ethics will help the employees to find out where to report it, to whom I should go and talk, to higher management, or do I go and tell the government or to the media or where? So it will really give them a system for reporting, okay, for advice when facing ethical issues. Also, it will help in establishing uniform ethical conducts and values, which provides طبعا a good approach for dealing with a lot of ethical decisions, okay? Everybody want to have good conduct of ethics and so on. Good codes of ethics also, it's when you have it, as I told you, formalized and in writing, it's going to be a good document. It's an important document for communicating with the public. Because again, I want to go back to the building relationship with the public, with the stakeholders. Okay, so if I'm an investor or I'm a creditors, مثلا a bank who want to give you a loan or whatever, if I see that I'm dealing with a business that has good ethics and everything is formalized and everything is documented, that's mean this company is a good company. Okay, so it's a good document or important document to communicate with the public and the suppliers and even with the government authorities. Okay, it will show the others the values and the ethics and how this company is actually complying with the ethics and the rules and the regulations and so on. It will also provide a foundation for evaluation and improvement of ethical decision making. You can always revise and see how things are going and make an evaluation, okay, and a control system. You can always revise your codes of ethics and you can improve any kind of ethical decision making that is needed. This is basically why codes of ethics is very important. It is very important. We should have codes of ethics at work. Any question?
Clear, thank you.
Good. So let's move on and let's talk about something called whistleblowing. If you remember here in one of these these items that we just mentioned a while ago, we said that codes of ethics will alert employees to systems for reporting or place to go to for advice when they're facing ethical issues. يعني if an employee find out that the company is doing something wrong that is harming the society, that they're producing something مثلا expired food, or they're having a lot of emissions في انبعاثات غازية that's coming out of this operation, where do they go? Where do they report such kind of misconduct? So we have something called a whistleblowing. What is a whistle? Anyone knows?
صافرة.
صافرة or صفارة, okay? So basically whistleblowing, you have to blow the whistle. خلاص صفر. I have to report something wrong, okay? I have to go and find out somebody who can listen to me because something wrong is going on in this organization. Whistleblowing is the act of employees exposing an employer's wrongdoing to outsiders, like the media or the government regulatory agencies. Okay, so if the employee find out that something is going wrong in this business, they're misbehaving, that they are really not respecting employees' rights or anything wrong is going on, then one of the employees might blow the whistle and go and talk outside either to the media or to the government agencies. And if you're following the news, just a few months ago, I think this whistleblowing idea was really going on in the news in US. Somebody find out, they blow the whistle because they find out that there was something wrong, that President Trump did something wrong, so they blow the whistle and then they start investigating and so on. So whenever something goes wrong, people, they'll blow the whistle either to the media or to the government regulatory agencies. And this is, of course, one of the most important components of an ethical program, okay? Which allows employees to report any kind of misconduct, sometimes anonymously, يعني without mentioning their name. Have a lot of people, they call مثلا the Ministry of Labor or Ministry of Trade, they report something that they witness and they see, but they do not see their names, okay? So they keep their names unknown. Nowadays, if you are a good company and you really cares about these things, you should establish a program for encouraging employees to report such kind of issues or misconduct where internally. Yani you have to tell employees, educate people, if you face something wrong, come and talk about it inside the company, because if it goes outside, if it goes to the media and to the government, it's going to be very difficult. You will destroy your image and destroy your reputation. And the cost of recovering from this destroy of your image and reputation, okay, to recover this is going to be very high cost. It's not easy at all, okay? Because usually if the reputation got broken, it's very hard to fix such kind of issues. So you have to encourage your employees to come and report any kind of unethical issues inside the company or internally. It's better. But sometimes it's difficult, because if these misconducts come from higher management, you find it difficult sometimes to whom I go and talk. So sometimes you are forced to actually go and talk to the media or to the government agencies. They said, you know, just for your information, that in 2010, the Congress, the U.S. Congress, passed the Dodd-Frank Act, which includes a whistleblower bounty program. Yani if people face something, this is what they should do. This is where they should go and talk about. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, last but not least, let's look at how a business can actually improve its ethical behavior. As we said earlier, we want to make sure that the business is building up an ethical cultural organization. Yani I want to make sure that everybody within the organization is following the same ethics, the same standards, okay? So instead of going after legal issues and problems and so on, let's make sure that we are basing our system on ethical programs, okay, that is going to build at the end of the day good culture, good integrity. Okay, we want to make work we want to make sure that there is integrity, that there is honesty between people, that there are good values, core values of the organization, and so on. It's very important, as we said earlier, that effective business ethics programs, which we just mentioned, are good for the business performance. It will affect the business performance because it will build good relationship, it will build good reputation and good image, and accordingly, a government will think good about you, your customer, your suppliers, your creditors, and so on. Everybody will really think that you are a good business that's following good behaviors and good ethics and so on. And of course, if you have good ethical programs, it will increase or develop the trust function, which we talked about in the beginning, okay? And if you have good trust, then you will have good relationship with your stakeholders, okay? And accordingly, you will avoid damaging your reputation. And also, if you damage reputation, you will also damage the product images. And if you manage to do مثلا change the image or damage the image of your product, then you're gonna lose trust. People will not trust you, stakeholders will not trust you, and so on. So this is the main thing. This is how companies or businesses should work hard on improving the ethical behavior of its business by building up a culture of good ethics, a culture of integrity and honesty and the straightness and good values and good behaviors and good policies and standards and so on, to build good relationship and good trust, to have good image and also have good reputation, to maintain good relationship with all different types of stakeholders that you are dealing with. This basically ends chapter number 2, and accordingly we completed this chapter and today's session. I'm open now for questions. Please feel free. If you have any question, go ahead and ask.
Yes, please, if you allow me.
Yes, please, go ahead.
What do you think responsible department in terms of applying this kind of practice?
In the beginning, we mentioned that there should be a compliance department. And
what about human capital?
Human resources, you mean, صح?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, usually it belongs to the human resources department. Yes.
Okay.
But it depends. We talk with ethics and behaviors and standards at all levels of the operation. We're not just talking about employees themselves. A business has to maximize, as we said, its positivity at all levels. In your production, in your relationship with customer, in your marketing, you have to behave in a good way. You should not give faulty advertisements. You should show if there is any harm. You have to tell people. Okay, declare it and tell people. You have to show good relationship with your customer, with your suppliers, and so at all levels you have to. So I cannot really say just the human resources. Human resources is part of it, but there should be other. لازم يكون في يعني like إدارة خاصة بهالشيء ده. Okay, but it depends كمان on the companies. Is it large company, big company, small company? It depends. Okay.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, please?
Thank you.
Don't leave, please. I'm going to take attendance. Just a minute, please. I will download the attendance list.
Okay.
Okay. I took attendance now. If you have no questions, then I want to thank you all for listening and for your time. And hopefully, inshallah, I'll see you next week. And please download your book and PowerPoint presentations and start studying, because we might have a quiz soon. Let me mention this thing. It's worth to mention this thing. Our book is an interactive book. Yani once you go and you read about each one chapter, you can do a quiz after that chapter. Okay? So you get to know whether you really understood, whether there are areas that you have to go back and read it again and so on. So my advice to you is that use it very carefully and take advantage of it. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions, or can we end?
All right. Thank you.
Dr. S, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I've joined the class as the course, sorry, as a guest. I'm not sure if my